What is going on with the Los Angeles Lakers? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Lakers Collective. Wanted to jump on here and discuss some of our chat questions that Jason, Jovan, and I didn't get to over the course of the week. Let's dive in. A lot of topics here to discuss. First question comes in. And by the way, I'm recording this prior to the Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors Saturday evening. So just keep that context in mind in case anything happens to change. This question said, I know that you guys are big on Clax, but I think we'd need prime AD at the 4 for him to be effective against the bigs in the West. Go for iHeart, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't mind challenging for Isaiah Hartenstein if you can go get him. The question, of course, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Are they ultimately going to let him go? He does have a team option on his deal. Now, I believed that when the Thunder signed Isaiah Hartenstein to the contract that they did, that they effectively overpaid him in exchange for having a team option and thus the flexibility that comes with it on the final year of the deal. They may have it. It could be the Thunder win the championship this year. The Thunder might just say, screw it. We don't care. We don't care about the second apron. We're just going to keep paying. But I do think that they're going to have to make a difficult decision with probably at least one of Isaiah Hartenstein or Lou Dort, Kenrich Williams. They also have a team option there. The Thunder were smart in building in the flexibility that they've got on those contracts now to pivot if they need to. But if we look for next year in terms of the aprons, they are well over the first apron and well over the second apron for next season, because of the big deals kicking in for Jalen Williams as well as Chet Holmgren. So the Thunder still obviously in very good, in enviable shape, right? Compared to most of the NBA with the amount of young talent that they've got, the sustainability that they have on their roster. It is frankly incredible. But if Isaiah Hartenstein does become a free agent, and keep in mind, you could wind up seeing the Thunder decline that team option and just signing him to a cheaper deal. He could wind up staying there. But let's say he does hit true free agency, the Thunder decline that team option, and he is not going to stay. Then yes, he should absolutely be on the short list of targets for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think part of it too, when this question is bringing up that we're big on Nick Claxton. The benefit of going after Isaiah Hartenstein, if you can get him in free agency, is that Nick Claxton, you're going to have to give up stuff in order to get him. You have to give up a draft pick. You're going to have to give up, in addition to cap space and all of that. And that could be a bit of a challenge when it comes to actually building out a roster. We don't know what the state is going to be of LeBron James moving forward with the Lakers, but it's fairly possible that the Lakers are trying to fill 3 starting jobs this summer. That's a lot. And if you can lock down one starting job with somebody that is fairly nimble for being a big, gives you some physicality, gives you some rebounding. The shot blocking hasn't been quite as good this year as it's been in seasons past. Doesn't have a lot of range to his game, but still, I could see where he could be a really solid fit for somebody the Lakers to commit to moving forward here at the center position. Yeah, then you're checking that box without having to burn draft capital, which would give you trade assets to potentially use to find your power forward of the future, to find your small forward of the future, whatever that's going to ultimately look like. You can address the other needs with the potentially 3 first-round picks that you've got. So it's a very, very thin free agent market this summer. And if Isaiah Hartenstein does find himself available, yes, the Lakers should 100% be interested. And I do think you can make an argument that he's a better fit for than Nick Claxton. When we talk about Nick Claxton, we've talked a lot in the past about Jackson Hayes and him not having quite the size, the muscle necessarily to deal with some of the bruisers in the Western Conference. The guys like the Steven Adams, even Alperen Sengun, Nikola Jokic, some of these big guys that are going to create problems for a player like Jackson Hayes to defend. Well, Nick Claxton is even smaller in terms of weight than Jackson Hayes is. I do think the nimble nature of Claxton's game, his ability to be super switchy on the perimeter, does have some benefits. But it's kind of a give and take thing where a guy like Hartenstein gives you a little bit more physicality while still being quicker, I think, than a lot of centers out there than the true plotters. And so there are certainly benefits to going after him as well. Look, the Lakers, the truth is the Lakers are going to have a lot of paths that they're going to have to explore this summer. And it's going to be a matter of Rob Pelinka in the front office picking which paths they feel are the most beneficial and where are they getting the best value. That means you're checking in on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course you are, right? It's Giannis. You're checking in on a number of the different centers out there. Who else can you sign in free agency? What other trades can you explore out there on the market? Do you maybe just keep your draft pick this year? Could there be Could you find a big in the draft that you really like? And then you've got a long-term piece moving forward. I think we're seeing in the NBA how important it is to hit on your draft picks. It's certainly one of the problems that has ailed the Lakers, and why their team has been not as good as we would have hoped this season is because of the 2 blown draft picks in a row, right? I mean, Jalen Hood-Schifino and Dalton Connect didn't really turn into anything. So there's also an argument for just keeping your pick and getting a young player in. That is if you're going to make the right selection.
All right, guys, quick break. This one's actually something I've been using personally. Cold days, big games, busy schedule, no time to cook. That's why I've been rocking with Factor. I've been ordering their Protein Plus meals, especially the grilled chicken with roasted veggies. Perfect for me because I'm trying to keep my energy high for shows without feeling heavy after eating. What I like about Factor, quality ingredients, lean proteins, real veggies, whole food fats, no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils, and it fits the schedule. They've got 100 rotating meals weekly: keto, calorie smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, even a new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. And the convenience is crazy. It's always fresh, never frozen. Ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. I use this, and you guys should too, especially if you're balancing work, school, gym, and Lakers games every other night. Head to factormeals.com/LakersPod50off and use code LakersPod50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. That's 50% off and a free breakfast item in every box for a year while your subscription is active.
All right, let's move on. If LeBron needs to be in the post a lot, don't the Lakers need a stretch 5 and not a traditional big? Well, in theory, right? If LeBron was going to be in the post a lot, then yeah, you could use for some more floor spacing. A floor spacing 5 could be helpful. Now, I know people will point to Maxi Kleber, and look, he is just fine, right? When we talk about Maxi and his, and while in theory Maxi can provide some floor spacing for you, the problem is that he doesn't shoot a very high volume. He's not even shooting particularly well from 3 either. When we look at where he's shooting from and how he's doing there, in fact, he is in the 6th percentile relative to bigs. Not 6th percentile compared to guards, 6th percentile compared to bigs shooting the 3. He is not shooting it particularly accurately this year. So I don't think that player is on the Lakers right now. Really, the floor spacing big that you could put out there with LeBron James, it's certainly not Jackson Hayes. It's certainly not DeAndre Ayton. And Maxi, while I know that's kind of what he came to the Lakers being seen as a floor spacing big, he does occasionally shoot the 3, but this season he's not shooting it well enough nor frequently enough to really be enough of a threat out there from behind the arc, or at least be somebody that teams are going to worry about being out there behind the 3-point line. So I don't think that player's necessarily on the Lakers right now. Now, if we're talking about if LeBron comes back next year, could you add a floor spacing big? Even then, I would say that is not the focal point of the Lakers, because just the fact of the matter is that the team is building around Luka. And so it's more about what is going to fit with Luka than with LeBron. And if we look at the numbers for this year anyway, LeBron James, in terms of how he's actually performed in the post, he's not scoring particularly efficiently. 0.86 points per possession right now on post-ups. That's not good enough. Now, you can argue that with a floor spacing 5 on the floor, does that number go up? And I'm sure it probably would, but right now there's not a lot of incentive to really highlight LeBron post-ups or feature a lot of LeBron post-ups. I do like him in the high post, but I like him in the high post more as a passer. I think he does a really great job in the high post, turning and looking over his shoulder, surveying the floor, and finding cutters. That's why it drives me crazy when the Lakers are stagnant off ball with a guy like LeBron, who can fire passes anywhere he wants all over the floor. Cut, and LeBron will find you. So I don't mind seeing those actions, but just a pure post-up for LeBron James simply hasn't been valuable enough to be something that you should really scheme towards or anything like that. Good question, though. And look, it's always nice to have different skill sets to turn to. It would be nice if the Lakers had a stretch 5, but I don't think specifically trying to maximize LeBron post-ups would be a reason to go and get one. All right. Reaves getting blamed despite being phased out. SMH. Is Austin Reaves getting phased out right now? Is that what we're seeing currently with the Lakers? And I think you can make an argument that offensively, we should see more from Austin, more of the ball in Austin Reaves' hands, and maybe less of a role for LeBron James. And that's not a knock on LeBron. Part of that is a commentary on, of the three Lakers, the big three, Austin, LeBron, and Luka, which one has the ability, the physical ability to take on more of a defensive role? And it's not ideal, but frankly, the answer is LeBron James. Physically, he can do things defensively that Austin and Luka simply cannot. So I could see a path where, and we're running out of time in the season to fully commit to this idea, but could see a path where committing to LeBron, focusing on the defense, the rebounding, things of that nature, and making offense a secondary endeavor could be beneficial for the Lakers. But, and getting the ball into the hands of Austin Reaves, who is on the season literally one of the very best with the ball in his hands in pick and roll situations. So could you try to put a little bit more into that right now? He is generating, as the pick and roll ball handler, generating over 1 point per possession. So he's really good in those situations, and we're seeing that work out quite well for them. In fact, he's in the 89th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler. So should they be focusing a bit more on that and asking LeBron to do some more things defensively? Yeah, I think you could make that argument. Ultimately, the Lakers do need to get more from Austin Reaves in general, particularly if, we know he's not going to win you a bunch of games with his defense. I do think sometimes the criticism of his defense can be a bit overstated, and the same holds true with Luka. The same holds true with LeBron. There are times where we want to just lump these guys into bad defensive player, and they're the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst, or the opposite, right? We get pushed to extremes. And I think that misses a lot of nuance from their defensive games. But regardless, I think you do need to get more out of Austin Reaves defensively. Jason was talking about it just the other day. I think Austin has only eclipsed 20 points twice out of his last 13 games, and that's just simply not who he was. Now, this is obviously coming back from injury. Is he perhaps getting his legs under him a little bit still? He was on a minutes restriction for a while. It's really just the last handful of games that we've seen him going higher than 30 minutes. So I do think the higher scoring games are coming. But look, right now when the team is losing, there's blame to be placed. There's a lot of blame out there, and people are going to look for a place to put that blame. And don't get me on my soapbox here about the player stand culture and how toxic that can become when people are just trying to deflect blame from one individual player, and how much you lose truth in that conversation. I've spent way too much time talking about that in the past, but there's a lot of blame out there right now, and no one is immune to it. And Austin has to accept some of the blame for the Lakers' recent play, just as LeBron does, just as Luka does, just as JJ Redick does, the front office does, the role players. There's a lot of blame to go around with the Lakers right now. So if there's being blame put on Austin Reaves, it's just as it is with every other player on the team. Jamie said, Braun was very good defensively in the playoffs last year. My hope is he is able to play that role again in the postseason. Yeah, I mean, LeBron at 41 now, he knows what it takes in the playoffs, better than anybody else in the NBA because of his longevity. He's got the ability to I think, turn it up, and that has to be the hope. That said, at 41 years old, how high can that dial really go at this point? So that's going to be the challenge with LeBron James. How high can the dial really go when he's now 41, and he can't just carry the team on his back all game, every game. He can't even turn it all the way up for an entire game right now. And not only can he not, but that's also not fair to really ask him to do that. So can LeBron pick up his game in the postseason? Yeah, I think he absolutely can. And, if there's a big possession in the fourth quarter where he really needs to lock in defensively, I think he can, and we'll see him succeed in those moments. But in general, I think LeBron's lack of mobility on the defensive side of the ball, and perhaps the sciatica is part of it, has been an issue for this Lakers team, far from being the only issue, of course. But, there are some downsides to being a 41-year-old NBA player, and that's part of it. It's defense that tends to drop off faster because it's so reactionary, whereas offensively, he can plan out his moves and where he's going to go. Defense is so quick twitch that I think you would expect to see a bit of a fall there. All right, your boy Rich said 2 things can be true. Shout out Jovan. Said LeBron has more left and we'd love to have him back. 2, he's the odd man out if we need to improve defense and athleticism. It sucks to push him out, but it may be the hard decision that needs to be made. Yeah, Rich, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think you're absolutely correct. LeBron does have more left, particularly if LeBron had the right team around him. And unfortunately, LeBron, Luka, Austin, there's key differences, but they all essentially need the same type of player around them, right? They need guys around them who are going to do the dirty work, who are going to do the hyper athletic stuff. That's what LeBron, Luka, and Austin all need. They need guys who can space the floor for them on the offensive end, fly around all over the place on defense, crash to the floor, hit the boards, all those things. That's what LeBron, Luka, and Austin need. The problem is none of those guys necessarily checks that box for the other ones. So if you have 3 of them together on the floor, just schematically, there's some concerns with that. And I will say as I'm recording this, the 3 of them on the floor have been net positives in the last few games that the Lakers have played. So I think they can improve and can get better as a trio. But ultimately, there is a world where the Lakers could see LeBron James walk away and they could get better. And that's not something that would have been a true statement, I think, in any of the past seasons for the Lakers. Losing LeBron James would have made them a net negative. Now, some of that is cap related because the Lakers, if they have the cap space that they're projected to have this summer, that'll give them the flexibility to go add pieces. For example, last summer, had the Lakers lost LeBron James, had he not picked up his player option and just walked away, that wouldn't have opened up enough flexibility for the Lakers to go add significant pieces. Like the Lakers would be very similar to the team they have right now, just they wouldn't have LeBron. And I know people will point to the early season results and say that is an indication that the Lakers are simply better without him. I'm not going to go that far as to say the Lakers are better without LeBron James. They need his talent to get to that upper tier of play. I also think that early on in the season, both Luka and Austin were playing better. DeAndre Ayton was absolutely playing much, much better at the beginning of the season. And then on top of that, I think their schedule was a bit lighter as well. So the numbers get skewed by, I think, all of those things, and it turns into this anti-LeBron frustration that I see out there based on the early season numbers compared to the post-LeBron returning numbers. But nonetheless, the Lakers this summer will have a lot more flexibility, which sets up the possibility that you could get a player who is not as talented as LeBron, but if that player can do the things that I'm talking about, fly all over the court, defend, rebound the basketball, make the hustle plays, and that in terms of an upgrade fit-wise could ultimately be a net positive for the Lakers. And again, I don't think that would be a true conversation anytime up until, this point and this season. So I think Rich is on the money where it could wind up being LeBron still has something left, and at the right price, you could absolutely bring him back. But it may be to the benefit of the team to ultimately move on. But the big unknown and incredibly important factor in all of that is who's replacing him. If it's you're moving on from LeBron and your guy taking his spot is going to be, it's just Rui Hachimura, right? And you don't add the defensive pieces or anything, and you don't make any significant improvements, then your team is worse, right? Your team is, your top end talent is not as good. If you are going to tell me that they're going to you're going to lose LeBron, but you're going to make a trade for a wing, you're going to make a trade for a Herb Jones, you're going to sign Isaiah Hartenstein, and then at the power forward spot, you're going to find a guy that you're going to bring in that you think, whether it's via trade or free agency, that you think can really move the needle. I mean, let's say you were able to get, this is the dream scenario, of course, but like an Aaron Gordon type player. He's not really available or anything, but somebody to fill that kind of a role. The Lakers as a team could absolutely be better for having lost LeBron James, which again would not have been a true statement for, I think, any LeBron team in past years. Ben says, am I oversimplifying? Team lacks get up for 48 minutes. Yes. No, you're not oversimplifying that. They do. You're talking about motor right there. And the Lakers, they have too many low motor players. The type of player I just talked about that you need, that rim running, floor crashing, hustle, deflections, blocks, that type of player, that's a high motor player. You need guys with high motors around Luka, Austin, LeBron as well. And we need 2 to 3 starters, but have no money. Cap space next year allows us to fix with no Bron, or Bron reduced to 10 to 15 million. Solution's been the same. Yeah, if what I would like to see, ideally, because I know there are people out there that are done with LeBron and want him moved, want to move on to a different era, and I fully understand that. Like I said, I think there is a rationale to it this year that did not exist in years past. A reasonable expectation for the team to improve post LeBron. That said, LeBron James at 52 million is very different than LeBron James at 10 million. In fact, if the Lakers, let's say they make their moves, let's say they have, let's call it 50-ish million in cap space, and via trade, via free agency, what have you, they add, let's say, 3 players. They add 3 players. They've kept Austin Reaves cap hold. They're ready to put the finishing touches on the team, and they have $10 million left over. And maybe it's the room exception. It's going to be like $9 million. And they go to LeBron and they say, look, LeBron, we would love it if you do want to play next year, which, by the way, I don't think is a given. But LeBron, we've got $9 million left over. It is what it is. This is what we got left. Do you want it? Do you want this? Do you want to stay with the Lakers? This is the team we've assembled. We think we're ready to roll. And if you want to be part of this, we'd be happy to give you this money that we've got left. And let's go. Is that a likely scenario? I don't know. I'm starting to feel it's more likely that LeBron either retires or plays somewhere else than plays with the Lakers next year. It just feels, again, that's not sourced or anything like that, but that just, to me, is the way this situation feels right now. But that wouldn't be the worst scenario in the world either. I've said for a while, I would like LeBron to play his final game in a Lakers jersey. I think that would be a really special thing to see for one of the all-time greats. So if that gives you an opportunity to do that, now, if LeBron's only making $9 million, what that also means is that when we're talking about that defensive role that I was talking about for LeBron earlier, if LeBron's only making $9 million, that makes it a little bit easier to have the depth around him to be able to say, hey, LeBron, we don't need you to play 35 minutes tonight. Tonight, we need you to play 25 minutes. How about that? We need you to play 22 minutes. I mean, let's get crazy with it, right? Hey, LeBron, we don't need you to worry about playing a full shift out there. Just go give us everything you got for these shortened stints, and we're going to use that to help manage the fact that you're now going to be 42. I think there's a pathway where that makes some sense as well. And maybe going down to the low 20s is too far, but could you see LeBron at 25 minutes a night, something like that? Yeah. I mean, look, it happened with Kareem. Kareem's minutes went down as he got further in his career and went down significantly. So anyway, just a thought that they could potentially pursue. But right now, I really think nothing is decided. Nothing is done. And the options are the Lakers can offer LeBron a contract or not offer him a contract. LeBron can retire. LeBron can want to come back to the Lakers. LeBron could want to play somewhere else. All of those possible outcomes still on the table. Shaking my head, Austin's scapegoat season has begun. I don't remember what our topic was at the time when that question or that comment came in, but everybody's plenty of blame, and it's going to land different places, and people are going to have their reasons why they're going to put it in different places. Joe said, do you see Austin Reaves and Luka being the types who will eventually be upset for not being contenders? You think they will ever put pressure on the front office? Now, to me, that seems more like a Luka situation than Austin, because Luka is going to be and is right now the 1A guy. It's Luka's team. He's the guy on this team. So could I see them put pressure on the front office? Yes, more so. Austin is the guy who wanted to be a Laker from day one. He's the unsung, unheralded guy. They didn't even use a draft pick on him. One of the best undrafted players I think we've ever seen, right? So Austin Reaves, situation a little different, right? He hasn't got his big max money in the NBA, and I don't know that he's going to get a max contract this summer. We'll see ultimately what that looks like, but he hasn't gotten his big money in the NBA. Luka's gotten his big Luka's gotten a lot of money that has said, you're that guy. You are the guy. So I would think there would be a little bit more sway for Luka to go in and say, hey, this is what I want. I mean, look, Anthony Davis was begging for another center to be brought in for years. Luka had been on the team last year for what, like 3 days, and the Lakers went and traded for Mark Williams, right? Like AD had to see that and be like, what the hell, man? Been asking you to go get a center for years. Luka arrives and you go trade for one immediately? Come on. Gotta be kidding me. I do think there is going to be a vested interest in making sure that Luka is happy and Luka feels like he can contend. And frankly, Luka is, by the way, as I'm recording this, Luka's birthday, happy birthday, 27 years old. He's in his prime. Like, this is it. You got to go win. You've got an opportunity. Your window's open right now with a generational player. And I know people will pick apart Luka's flaws and all of that, and that's fine. Right? There are plenty of reasons to criticize a lot of different players, and I think criticism is not inherently a bad thing. People get so caught in this idea that any criticism of a player just needs to be dismissed as hate. No, it's okay. If a player sucks at something, we could talk about why a player is not good at that thing. If a player is great at something, we could talk about why a player is great at that thing without it just being dismissed as, oh, you're just glazing that player. No, there's truth in that. It's okay to talk about Luka struggling on the defensive side of the ball while also being a great player. So I do think that Luka, given that he is a great player and that he has not accomplished the accolades that I think he would like to, that includes winning an MVP, winning championships, all of these sorts of things, there is going to be that urgency there. And Luka does have the ability to hit free agency in 2028 if he so desires. So that in and of itself should put some pressure on the Lakers this summer to get some things done. BG the Kid said, frustrating seeing the Celtics build their team with tough, big players who all defend, especially at the margins of the roster. Also, are we sure JJ is the guy? Yeah, that's been one of my biggest complaints about Rob Pelinka and the way that the Lakers roster has been structured. It's, of course, we could talk about the Russell Westbrook trade. We could talk about everything else that has gone on. The decision to let Alex Caruso go. I'm going to get everybody angry by talking through all this again. I'm going to make myself angry talking through all these mistakes. But when the Lakers have had the ability to invest in something, whether that's free agency dollars via a mid-level exception or via trade or what have you, too often I think we've seen them target the wrong type of player. And the type of player that the roster has been screaming for years now is defensive, switchy players who can shoot. Effectively, all the guys that they had that they either traded or allowed to walk away after the Russell Westbrook trade. And the teams that have identified the importance of wings and the importance of physical defensive players that can be switchy while also providing shooting, teams that have really leaned into that. And that means if you are going to take a player in the draft, you're taking someone who has two-way upside. Those are the teams that have benefited. And Boston is certainly one of them. There are other teams that have as well. Meanwhile, the Lakers, when they've had opportunities to spend, look what they've done. Look at the players that they've targeted. Going back years going back. Montrezl Harrell, right? Not a good defensive player, good offensive player when they got him. He was the reigning sixth man of the year, but not a good defensive player. And he's now out of the NBA. Dennis Schroeder, who, by the way, has become a better defensive player than he was when they signed him. But they went and got Dennis Schroeder, the runner-up to sixth man of the year. Small, had some issues defensively because of that. Struggles a little bit shooting, but a small guard. Lonnie Walker, small-ish two-guard, issues defensively, sometimes sporadic shooting. Kendrick Nunn, small-ish combo guard, issues defensively. Gabe Vincent, small-ish combo guard. Is he great at any particular thing? No, not really. He had a good playoff series. Tries, would compete defensively. But again, same idea. Look at the draft. Jalen Hood-Schifino. You had a bigger guard, but who maybe would have fit the bill defensively, but can't shoot. Then Dalton Connect, who, by the way, fell a lot. And there were, if Dalton Connect hit, his skill set would be a valuable one. But ultimately, this team that's starving for two-way players, Dalton Connect never projected to be that. He projected to be a good 3-level scorer on the offensive side of the ball. And that's where you even bleed into Kobe Buffkin being signed for the 15th roster spot. Not that I dislike Kobe Buffkin or that I think that he can eventually be a two-way player, but right now he's another small-ish combo guard. If you're going to think about all the names that I just mentioned and how many guys how many of these players you would actually want on an NBA team right now? That there's not a lot there. Like, I would like Dennis Schroeder on this team, I guess, but is there anybody that I just mentioned, and that's years worth of decisions, that make sense on the Lakers right now? No, because most of them aren't going to fit that ultimate mold, or at least never hit it skill-wise, but also didn't fit the mold of what it is that you need. And that's, again, the hyper-athletic defensive players that can switch. If you're going to roll the dice on something, at least roll the dice on a player that's going to fit stylistically with what it is that you need if you're going to gamble on it. Now, if you feel like you've got a guy that you really think can be a 25-point-per-game scorer in the NBA, and it's very likely to happen, or you've got a player that you think is maybe a small chance of becoming a 3-and-D type player, but very unlikely that it happens. Look, I get that. There's extremes in the conversation, right? But if you're looking at a pool of players and you feel like their ability to hit is all right around the same, then by all means, skew towards the players that could theoretically defend and play both sides of the ball. Now, Max Christie is obviously a hit, but they wound up trading him. So that's part of the issue. When you see teams that are built around this type of player, I think the Lakers have for years targeted the wrong type of player. I remember years ago, Rob saying something to the effect of, it's a guards league. And I remember not being happy with the comment because even back then I was saying it's a wings league. This is a league where it's the haves and have-nots, who has stars, who does not, but also who has wings that can play both sides of the ball and who does not. And right now the Lakers don't. And they have not for a while, and that's been a big detriment to their team. So are we sure JJ is the guy? No, we're not. I mean, we're a year and a half in to JJ Redick being the coach of the Lakers, and very much an unknown, hadn't coached before. So can you feel confident? Can you feel like he's the guy? No. I don't say that, though, as a way to say they should move on from JJ. I think there are some things that he does very well. I think there's mistakes he's made too, but also those mistakes are expected for somebody who had literally never coached before when he became the Lakers head coach. The Lakers got JJ because they believe in him as the long-term fit, and we will see if they're proven to be correct. Now, if next season doesn't go well, okay, maybe things start to get a little more questionable. Right now, I think the biggest thing with JJ, and this is something I criticized Frank Vogel for years ago, is that JJ, I feel, has not taken the team that he's got right now and made it better than the sum of their parts. He's not managed to get the best out of everybody together as a unit. And I think they did do that last year, especially post-Luka trade, when they were able to really lock in defensively with that group with DFS, Luka, LeBron, Austin, Rui on the floor. That group, and maybe it was just the right synergy of those 5 players, but JJ was able to lean into a group that together, till they hit the playoffs, they got upended there, but together he was able to get more out of them. And I don't think that's been the case so far this year. This group has never hit their ceiling offensively, and it does seem most games you're wanting more out of most of the Lakers role players. Like the big moments, especially when we're talking about the best teams in the NBA, you go watch like a Thunder game and it's, big Jalen Williams will make a play, or Alex Caruso gets a couple of steals late in a game. Cason Wallace, these are different tier players than the guys we're talking about with the Lakers, but there are too many games where the Lakers go through and you're like, man, where was the big play from one of the other guys? The big moment that you needed a big rebound and nobody went to go get it. Stuff like that. That's some of that falls on the players, but some of that's going to fall on JJ as well. I think he's struggling trying to find the right balance for the roster. And again, part of that falls, it's not all JJ's fault either. Part of that falls on roster construction. Like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around. Trying to blame any one person is a fool's errand. But it's been an okay season for JJ. The jury's still out at this point. Christian finishes things off for us, says, speaking of Luka as a great competitor, what do you think is the main reason he doesn't work/improve on things that will take him to the next level? You know, I think Luka very badly wants to win. You can see that out there on the floor. He is a competitor. Does he not work on areas of his game? I think sometimes that is a behind closed doors type of thing with certain players. Like, for example, we talk about this all the time. Austin Reaves, what does he post on social media? Golf. Because he doesn't want to spend all of his time on just basketball, posting that kind of stuff. So he posts golf a lot on social media. And because he's not posting about basketball, people take that to mean it's not happening, that he's not having these workouts, that he's not doing these things, which that is not the case. With Luka, you know, the Lakers season was done for about a month, and Luka like reappears, and suddenly he looks like a new man. He's got muscle and he's leaned out and all this stuff. Was Luka posting a bunch of stuff of himself training? No. So I think we assume that work isn't being put in without actually knowing that it's not, because players don't have to post every single thing that they do. Some do, but a lot of guys don't like to post all that kind of stuff. So again, I don't necessarily agree he doesn't work or improve on things. That said, are there areas that are a little bit concerning? Like, could you imagine, and I hate to even make this comparison because Kobe is Kobe, but does Luka have that maniacal drive to work on every single facet of his game to be the very best at that thing? I don't know if he has that. And not a lot of people do. It's part of what made Kobe so special. In fact, I think for some people, it's not even healthy to have the mentality that the obsessive 3 a.m. workouts and stuff that Kobe had. But is there another gear that Luka can get to improve his game? Yes. Look, he's heard. We hoped going into the season that this was going to be a pissed off Luka who had heard all the shit everybody had been talking all summer, all off season about his weight, about his defense, all of that. And this was going to be Luka's revenge tour. This was going to be hyper motivated Luka. This is going to be shredded washboard abs Luka, 4% body fat tearing up the NBA, right? Like that's what we thought was going to be unleashed this year, especially after the Mavs traded him and then called him fat on his way out the door. Have we seen that? I think he started the season very well. I thought he looked great for Slovenia during the summer, but does Luka look quite as shredded as he was? And maybe shredded's going too far, but as he was to start the season? No, I don't think so. Have we seen a Luka that has been completely locked in defensively every single play? No. That said, I also think the criticism of his defense has been overblown. And there's times, especially when he's in a one-on-one defensive scenario, when he's defending a wing or something, where he holds up very, very well. And I think over the last couple of weeks, the way he's contested shots has improved. He's done a better job contesting on shooters and trying to stick with his man and all of that. So I don't want this to come out across as Luka is just trash on defense, because that's the leap that people were making. I think it goes way too far. But are there areas of Luka's game that could get better if he was a bit more focused on it? Yeah, you'd have to imagine that there's another level that Luka can ultimately get to. Will he get there? I don't know. But I think there's also a challenge among Lakers fans who spent 20 years watching Kobe, that now everybody gets held to that standard. And for 99% of athletes out there, that Kobe standard is maybe to an unhealthy level, right? How obsessed Kobe was with his game. That can't be the expectation for everybody. So are there areas where Luka could get better in terms of the work that he puts in? Are there areas of his game that need to improve? Yes, I think that's always going to be the case, that he's got areas that he can't improve upon. What's amazing is he is still this incredible player. He's one of the very best players in this league. But if the thought is that he will become Kobe in terms of the way that he approaches training, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I don't think we're going to see that happen. I don't think that's a realistic goal for him. Okay. Incredible talent, incredible processing speed for Luka, the way he reads the game. I would like to see him. What I would like to see Luka do is max out his athleticism. I still don't think he's done it fully. I would like to see Luka max out his athleticism, because at that point, then we can say he's done everything he possibly can. I think athletically, there are some limitations that are just inherent with his body, with Luka, where he's never going to be a lockdown defensive player. But I want to see Luka, and multiple seasons, I'd like to see Luka at a level where we say he has maxed out that category. He may still not be a great defensive player, but he is giving you everything he possibly can. And I don't think we've seen that from him yet. I hope we do. All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you for coming in, and thank you all so much for being part of the Lakers Collective. I've said it before. We weren't sure what the response was going to be. We thought our fans would enjoy this collaboration between Jason, Jovan, and myself. The three, we were talking just the other day, our last show, we were just talking about after we went off the air, how much all three of us truly enjoy talking Lakers basketball with each other. And what a good time we've had doing this show. I hope that does come across when we're doing the show for you guys, how much we truly love this show and how it's become one of the highlights of our week for all three of us. So I just want to, for those of you that are still watching right now at the end of the video, you guys are the real ones. We appreciate all of you so much. And thank you guys for subscribing and being part of this endeavor. All right, everybody. Hopefully the Lakers pick up a win over the Warriors. I got a back-to-back this weekend, but thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.